So I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about my aquarium here I got set up. It's a 55-gallon tank. Um, so I decided to do this about back in October, September, something like that. Anyway, I started with a 10-gallon tank, which is pretty small tank. And I thought a 55-gallon tank would be kind of the right size where it's still kind of manageable with one person. But anyway, so I've begun stocking the tank, and I've pretty much. Outside of a few things like doing CO2, more plants, maybe some more fish, maybe some shrimp. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going to kind of wait and see how the plants kind of grow out, how the fish do, and make sure everything's going to be pretty stable, water parameter wise and whatnot. I live in North Carolina, so or actually I live in the western part of the state, so we just happen to have well water, and we happen to have really soft water. Now the water is pretty much neutral. It's like around 7.2 out of the tap. Once I have the fluval stratum that's in the bottom of the tank, it takes it down to about 6.6, which is perfect for a lot of South American tropical fish that a lot of them that come from the Amazon River Basin. They really like soft acidic water, and that's what I decided to keep. So that makes it really easy to deal with water changes and stocking options and whatnot. But so yeah, I got fluval stratum in the bottom. Got a whole bunch of different plants. So much I'm really bad with the names and pronouncing them. So I'm not even going to attempt that. I'll butcher them up. But some of the things I do have some crypts. Let's see. I think we got a couple bulb plants. Some of those are bulb plants. I do got a little piece of driftwood, which really is too small for this tank. I actually bought it for the 10-gallon, but I've kind of taken out all the good stuff out of the 10-gallon tank. And yeah, so yeah, got a couple sponge filters. Got some neon tetras. I got about 13 of those right now. I would have had 15, but over the past couple months in different batches, I bought 6 originally. Started out with 6 originally from PetSmart. One of them passed away. Not sure what happened to it, and I got a batch of 9 a couple weeks ago. 2 of them had ick, and one of them died in the quarantine tank. So it was kind of abrupt because they were both doing fine, and I thought one of them jumped out of the tank. And turns out, I'm looking on the floor. I'm like, okay, he must have jumped out. I just happened to have the lid open. I could never find him. And finally, I saw where he just kind of was sticking behind the sponge on the intake, so I'm not sure what happened there. I was about to move them back to the 55-gallon tank because they had just kind of finished up the quarantine, and all the excess were gone, so it was kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I got some neon tetras. Got 13 of those. I have 10 of the fire ember tetras, and 10 panda cories, which are kind of hiding out. Where are they at? There they are. It's one of the panacories there. I do have a little bed of floating log, which is a little hard to see right now. Kind of late in the evening, and the tank is kind of going through its sunset / twilight point. So now, so the lights are getting kind of dim. Yeah, I do have a few things set up for CO2. I don't have any CO2 yet. I need to get a tank and a regulator and that sort of stuff. So I might be doing that in a month or two. I got to just kind of figure that out. But yeah, I got the sponge filters. I got a regular hang-on back. So ended up getting the tank from PetSmart. They had a deal on a 55-gallon tank. It kind of came with sort of a kit. So it came with like a heater and a filter and some basic lighting and that sort of stuff. Yeah, kind of souped up the filter, stuffed some. I got some filter floss, some sort of polyfill stuff, which I'm finding out that was probably not the smartest thing to do. So I want to replace that with some regular sponge. So I want to do that hopefully next week. And yeah, and the light, I did replace the light. I went with the Fluval Plant 3.0. And what I've kind of done with that, I've kind of gone through and matched up the sunset and sunrise times that are that sort of match up with some places down in Colombia. It's pretty close to the equator, so that's like about about a 12-hour day. Um, Probably a little too much light. Realistically, I did back down the blue light during the day to avoid any issues with algae. I think blackbeard algae is one of the things you can get if you have too much blue light. But yeah, I figure I could do a little demo here of the what the light does. So I can get into it here. Let's hit preview. So the light's going to go completely out since it starts out at midnight or whatnot, and should start coming on here shortly. Hopefully it doesn't get too bright. So it kind of ramps up during the day, and I think the way I got it set now is it will peak at 2:30 in the afternoon while I'm at work, and after that it'll start ramping down, and it'll do like a sunset and then a twilight, and finally just kind of fade out about 10 o'clock right when I go to bed. So it kind of works out that way. I can kind of come home in the evening and be able to enjoy it and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think if anybody who's wanting to start out into aquariums is to find out what kind of water they have. A lot of folks that are on like city water, they have to do dechlorinators and whatnot. But yeah, let me maybe adjust the exposure just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So I think anybody who's wanting to get into aquariums to find out what kind of water they have, because that does make a difference. Because some of these fish, if they're caught wild, especially, it does matter more. Yeah, like all of these fish, they are, when they're native, they're native from their native areas. They like the softer water, and stuff like discus or brackish water tanks, stuff like that. It gets a little more technical. And don't get me wrong, African cichlids are really cool looking, but I think it's going to be really difficult for me to try and keep the water and the pH and all that stuff stable. So I think those are probably should be reserved for folks that they've done a few tanks. They kind of know how to get them cycled and get things working right. It's if you got soft water like I happen to have here, then stuff like neon tetras and the fire ember tetras and a lot of your South American fish will work just fine. I do also have a beta. You can see him there. You also see a little panda Cory there. He's eating some of the diatoms on the plants. This is a pretty new setup, so I'm still seeing some diatoms, a little bit of green hair algae, which I think that's going to be fine. I'm not going to freak out if, there's algae in the tank. It'll be fine. I might be able to get some snails in here. I don't know. I got to kind of do some research, find out whether the snails will do all right in soft, mildly acidic water. Got a pH about 6.6. That seems to be where it's kind of settling now, which is good because that's not too acidic. I was kind of worried about it getting too low with the fluval stratum and whatnot. I know when it was cycling, it did drop down to about 6, and then after water change, it kind of started coming back up, and now it's kind of hanging out around 6.6. But yeah, there's a lot of diatoms that kind of grow on the plants during the day, and then the Corys kind of come clean all that up overnight, and the cycle repeats itself. So, but hopefully that'll kind of start going away here. But the plants seem to be doing okay. I'm still waiting for. I did move this plant here, this bulb. This is a bulb plant from the 10-gallon. It was kind of taking over it. It was just too huge. It's still trying to kind of get acquainted with the water and whatnot. But everything else seems to be taking off pretty good. But yeah, so this is my 55-gallon tank, and hopefully might do some updates on it in the future, and maybe add some more fish, probably more fire ember tetras. Those are really cool fish, especially when they color up. But anywho, thanks. Bye-bye.